The meeting will come to order. Welcome to our October Board of Trustees Committee of the Whole meeting. It's great to see everyone present today, and we appreciate you for being with us. Our first matter of business is approval of the consent calendar. We have a recommended motion from administration. Do I have a maker of the motion?
Motion to accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Linda Leventis Wells has made a motion. Ms. Mosley has made a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our second matter of business is appearance of visitors, and we have no visitors today. Our third matter of business is administration, and Ms. Middleton will be chairing this section. And Ms. Middleton, I'm going to turn the floor over to you at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first order of business is 3.01, which is an impact fee study. And I will ask if Mr. Sailors has any comments on that, or Dr. Royster.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As you may remember, this is essentially coming from the Advocacy Committee. For some time, we have been discussing on and off the needs, the pros, the cons of impact fees when it comes to new construction related to community growth in our community. And so in doing the diligence for that, we have discovered a couple of issues that we have to work around. For example, our staff internally cannot facilitate the due diligence for the records, the data that would take to determine that. That is per state law. Also per state law, we do not have the ability to partner with another government body. So for example, the city of Fountain Inn recently entered into a decision related to impact fees in their community. As we all know, the county itself is having some internal discussions on their particular options. We would not have an opportunity to partner with them to facilitate a county-wide study as well. This is all per state statute. So the staff was asked to identify a firm that could come in and essentially assemble the data that we need to make a decision in the future on whether we do or do not want to follow impact fees. We need to determine ourselves whether that it's worth the effort, if it's going to be financially viable for the school district to follow that pathway, what the effect on the community would be, the hoops you have to jump through. In other words, impact fee money, you can only use it on new construction that is directed or caused by growth, not a replacement school, but let's say an addition, things like that. So this morning, at the request of through the request of the Advocacy Committee, we're asking that this be put on it's being put on the agenda for your information, our discussion, and if you so choose, this firm would move forward with facilitating the work that needs to be accomplished for us as a board to make a decision in the near future. I hope that covers. Is there anybody on the Advocacy Committee did I miss anything? Do we have it all? Okay, thank you. Dr. Royster.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Without repeating what Mr. Sailors said, but to reinforce a little bit of it. First, to clarify, what we're talking about is an impact fee, which if levied, it's not a tax, it's a fee based on the construction of new residential housing. So be clear about that. It's an impact fee, not a tax placed on existing homes. Secondly, we have a lot of the data that is necessary to conduct the study, but as Mr. Sailors indicated, by statute, we cannot conduct our own study. We must employ a third-party vendor. And we will see a presentation from that vendor this morning. The vendor that we're looking at, if you all approve the study, And all we're recommending to you today is the approval of a study. You're not approving, requesting an impact fee, which you would do of the county's governing body, the county council. Not asking that today, simply to conduct a study to see, as Mr. Saylors pointed out, is it something that you would believe to be worthwhile in pursuing? Because there are limitations on what the funding can be used for. As Mr. Saylors indicated, one big thing would be, for example, we're building a replacement for Northwest Middle, for Bryson Middle School. Replacement schools would not be eligible under impact fees. Now, additions or schools for growth or additions related to growth would be. Capital projects related to roofing and HVAC are not eligible. So there are a number of restrictions, and they will go in more detail about that in the presentation that you will see. We had hoped to be able to have someone here in person, but to a degree, this is time sensitive, and we wanted it to align with the committee of the whole meetings. So we have representatives from Tischler Bice who will be with us, as you can see by the screen. All right, there they are now. Will be with us today to go through a presentation about what these studies entail and the various restrictions and allowances related to an impact fee. At this time, I'll turn it over to Robin Stack and to Drew Britton. Ms. Stack.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. Yes, we have Julie Herlins with us. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She is representative from Tischler Bice, who we do appreciate you coming and sharing this information with us. And at this time, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. And can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. And can everyone hear me okay? Great. Good morning. Thank you for accommodating this virtual presentation.
Thank you for accommodating this virtual presentation.
This morning, my name is Julie Herlands. I'm Vice President
happy to be with you
Tischler
this
Bice.
morning. My name is Julie Herlands. I'm Vice President with Tischler Bice.
Go ahead and share my screen.
And I will go ahead and share my screen. We do have
Sorry.
or can I share my screen from here, or will it be run
There we
from?
go.
Yep, there it
Okay.
is. Sorry, got it. Okay.
There,
All
got
right,
it.
there we
Perfect.
go.
And I
Okay.
assume everyone can see my screen.
All right,
Yes, so
perfect. And I
I'm
assume everyone
happy
can see
to be
my
with you all this
screen.
morning. And
Yes,
I
so
do have a few slides,
I'm
and then
happy
we
to
can
be
open
with
up
you
for
all
some
this morning,
additional
and I do
questions.
have a few
But appreciate
slides, and then we
the
can open up for
overview and
some
the
additional
introduction.
questions. But
And
appreciate
those are some
the
of the key
overview and
points
the
that I
introduction,
will be
and those
reiterating
are
as
some of the
well. I'll be
key
talking
points
about,
that I will be
namely the difference
reiterating as well. I'll
between
be
an
talking
impact fee
about,
and a
and namely
tax.
the difference between an impact fee
And
and
the
a
reason why
tax.
a study is required to do
And the reason why
to
a
implement
study
impact
is
fees.
required to do
Let's
to
see
implement
here.
impact
Okay,
fees.
so our firm, so I'm
Let's
with
see
Tischler
here.
Bice, you
Okay,
mentioned.
so our
We
firm,
we're
so I'm with
based up
Tischler Bice. You
in
mentioned
the DC area,
we're
but we work
based up
nationally.
in
We have a
the
national
DC area,
practice
but
that
we work
focuses
nationally.
on
We
what
have a
we call a
national
cost of
practice that
growth
focuses
services.
on what
And
we call a
so
cost of growth
focused
services.
on
And
what we're
so
talking about
focused
today, impact fees, infrastructure
on what we're
financing
talking about today,
strategies,
impact
as well
fees,
as fiscal
infrastructure,
impact analysis,
financing
really
strategies,
understanding how
as
land
well as
use
fiscal impact
drives a
analysis,
need
really
for
understanding
additional
how land
services,
use
for additional
drives a
capital
need
improvements,
for
and how to
additional
fund
services, for
those
additional capital
things.
improvements, and how to fund
The
those
graphic
things.
on the slide here shows, again,
The
our
graphic
national
on the
practice,
slide
but we
here
have
shows,
done
again,
quite a bit of work in
our
South
national
Carolina
practice, but
and
we
are
have done
continuing to
quite
do
a bit of
so,
work in South
and
Carolina,
really
and are
tracks with
continuing to
where
do
there is
so, and really
fast-growing
tracks with
communities,
where
group and
there
communities
is
that are
a
experiencing
fast
these
growing
kinds of growth
communities, group and
pressures.
communities that are
And we
experiencing
have done
these
quite a
kinds of
number
growth
of a
pressures.
few school impact
And
fees
we have done
of
quite a
late
number of a few school
within
impact
the
fees
state
of late
So as mentioned before,
within the
for
state.
impact fees,
So as mentioned before,
it
for impact fees,
is a fee, not a
it is
tax. It is a one-time payment,
fee,
and
not
it
a
is
tax. It
specifically
is a one-time
calculated
payment, and it is
implemented
specifically
to recover the
calculated
cost,
and
the
implemented
proportional
to
cost
recover the
from new
cost,
growth for
the proportional
growth-related
cost
infrastructure.
from new growth
It's usually
for
collected at the time
growth-related
building permits are
infrastructure.
issued. It
It's
can be
usually
done
collected at
at
the time
certificate of
building permits are
occupancy.
issued.
It
It can
would
be done
be
at certificate of
collected and
occupancy.
managed
It
through the
would be
county because it's tied to
collected and
land
managed
use,
through the county because it's
the
tied
land
to
use
land use
process.
and land use,
As mentioned before, it
the
cannot
land
be
use
used
process.
for maintenance
As
or
mentioned before, it
replacement
cannot be used
or
for
operations. So
maintenance
it
or
is truly
replacement
a
or
one-time
operations.
capital
So it is
capacity
truly a
related
one-time
fee.
capital
Again,
capacity
not a
related
tax.
fee.
It's more like a relationship, a contractual arrangement between development and the locality to build infrastructure. And an impact fee needs to have, because there's statutory requirements, and then there's case law that goes around that revolves around impact fees as well, where there are 3 requirements that need to be met, and that's the reason a study is needed. And those 3 requirements are that there's a need for the infrastructure, so that growth is demanding the infrastructure that's needed, the infrastructure to maintain levels of service, that there's a benefit that a fee payer will ultimately receive additional capacity in the system for which they're paying the fee, and that new growth is paying their fair share. So the fee is proportionate to the demand for the infrastructure. The methodology and the approach of the study is quantitative and involves a series of calculations, but at the heart of it, it's really identifying what the demand is for the infrastructure, and the demand from that land use for schools is how many students live in that unit on average. And so part of that would be part of the analysis would be a student generation rate, and really multiplied by how much infrastructure, how much space is required to house that student. And that can be quantified as square feet and acreage per student for school space by level, elementary, middle, and high. And then what does that cost? How much does it cost to provide that infrastructure? So at the heart of it, it's a simple calculation, but within each of these boxes, there's quite a bit of analysis that needs to go into the calculation to make sure that the school district complies with the requirements for impact fees. So in South Carolina, I mentioned that there is some statutory requirements. There is an Impact Fee Enabling Act. Not all states have enabling acts. So again, another reason why a study is needed is to make sure that the fee is calculated and is complying with the requirements of the state act. The impact fee collections must be kept in a separate account, and it's dedicated and used for the purposes that it's collected for. It must be in an interest-bearing account. The dollars must be spent within 3 years of the scheduled date for construction in the CIPs. So that's not necessarily the time of collection, but the identification of the scheduled project. So there's some amount of flexibility there. The locality needs to publish an annual monitoring report. There's a review and update every 5 years, which is important for conditions. If conditions have changed, certainly costs will change. And potentially the growth-related needs and student generation rates. Any kind of fee change requires a study, And there is also a requirement within the Act to identify what the effect of an impact fee is on affordable housing in the locality. And so we include that in our analysis and in our report to identify what that impact is. There's also a requirement and a part of the analysis where the study would look at a need for credits. And there's really kind of two different credits. One is if a developer or the applicant that's paying the fee is also going to provide a similar amount of infrastructure or provide, say, a site for a school or actually build something that the school would benefit from that's approved by the locality, they wouldn't pay the full amount. At the base of it for credits, it's to avoid double payment for the same capacity. So there's this site-specific type credit. If a developer provides a comparable amount of capacity, a credit would be required. And then there's also another kind of credit that we include, or that the study includes, to make sure, again, that there's no double payment for the same capacity. And so in this case, it would be for potentially for tax revenue that's collected to pay down debt service that's for the same type of capacity, or any kind of dedicated revenue. Say there was a dedicated portion of a property tax that's being used for the same type of improvement. So we in the study would handle this type of credit, but again, the heart of it, we need to ensure that folks aren't paying twice for the same capacity, the same type of improvement. The fee schedule itself, again, this discussion is about the study itself. The study would come up with would produce a proposed fee schedule that would be vetted and discussed with staff as we go through the calculation. And then ultimately, if fees were to be adopted and to be implemented, they would need to be approved by the county and collected and administered on the district's behalf. The district wouldn't have, again, without that land use regulation element, no way to collect and to hold those fees. There be some discussions with the county about the proper or an appropriate way to collect the fees. There's some choices there, whether it's by an average per unit, by type of unit, as shown here, by single family, per single family or per multifamily, or by size of unit, which is another option that we can talk about as well. We would calculate the fees in current dollars, and then do recommend that jurisdictions do a regular update and inflationary adjustment on an annual basis to account for particularly construction cost increases. And one way to do this is through a published and a third-party data source through Engineering News-Record or through the Consumer Price Index to make sure that the fees are keeping up with inflation. I mentioned that the statute requires an affordable housing analysis, and what's shown here is what we would include in the study as well, looking at affordability, the impact of housing costs pre-implementation of an impact fee and post-implementation of an impact fee, and what that does in terms of the cost burden on affordability for housing. And then I mentioned a choice of implementing an impact fee by size of a housing unit. And this is done in many jurisdictions around the country. And this is another way to get at or to achieve sort of more proportionality and be more sensitive to the cost of housing and to affordable housing, whereby a smaller unit with potentially fewer students, and this would be part of our analysis, is to derive those student generation rates for the district specifically, and to identify the relationship between size of a housing unit and the number of students in those units. And so in this case, you're looking at a community, a county in Florida, Manatee County in Florida, where smaller units had fewer students, and therefore the fee would be scaled in that way too. So that again is another way to support the provision of more affordable and attainable housing, so that a smaller unit at a lower price potentially would ultimately pay a lower fee. So the process for the study itself, I mentioned student generation rates, so that would be an initial task where we would work with the local data to derive and to calculate student generation rates. Again, that is number of public school students per housing unit, by type of housing unit, and potentially by size of housing unit if the data is available. We would develop enrollment projections to identify where and what type of growth that the district is experiencing. Of course, we would use existing data as much as possible, and what type of work has been done and is being done by staff currently to dovetail with those efforts, and then further explore the cost part of the equation, determine what it costs the district to provide additional capacity in schools, and looking at, again, levels of service, square feet per student, acreage per student, and what those costs are to continue to provide that level of service. We prepare a capital improvement plan that's really specific to the impact fees. It's not necessarily what it's related to what is discussed and adopted and included in their annual budget process. But this would be specifically tied to new growth and what's going to be needed in the future to accommodate new growth that would be partially partially paid for by the impact fees. Again, we would look at the credit analysis, as I mentioned. We calculate the fees, prepare a report, a draft report, and subsequent final reports, and go through the adoption process as required through the county with both the Planning Commission and the County Council. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and I thank you for your time and the opportunity to present our process and credentials. And I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a recommended motion from administration on this particular item. Do I have a maker of the motion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes?
I'd like to move that we accept the motion that has been presented by the administration.
Thank you. So we have Mr. Saylors made the motion, which is to authorize a comprehensive impact fee study for Greenville County Schools, and Ms. Goodwin Caldwell has seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Cochran.
Thank you. On page 12 of the impact fee study proposal, there's a statement that reads, overly optimistic development projections increase the school district's financial exposure if impact fee revenue is less than expected. I was just hoping you could expound on that a bit further.
Sure, yeah, and this is related to methodologies, choice of methodology. And so there's really three different methodologies one can use to do an impact fee study. One is an incremental, the other is plan-based, the other is cost recovery. And so in this case, if this is what we're really getting at is with a plan-based approach, if, for instance, and a plan-based approach would essentially say, we are assuming we're going to grow this amount, we are planning, we need this amount of infrastructure. And we're going to assess the fee based on that sort of out-year planned project. So it's so a fee would be calculated based on that. If, for instance, growth was slower than anticipated, and that project still needed to go ahead, there may not be as much revenue generated to cover those expenditures. The alternative is a methodology that's called an incremental expansion methodology that basically that sets the fee based on what the jurisdiction, what the school district has today. So it's a number of square feet per student based on current conditions, and what does it cost per student to continue to provide that same level of service. And that's typically the methodology that we would use and that is used in school impact fees. And essentially, as you grow at the pace you're growing, you're collecting revenues at that same pace to accommodate that amount of growth. And therefore, you're collecting the dollars that fit with those needs, and you're not overestimating or setting a target that could potentially not come to fruition. And so the choice of methodology typically or is meant to avoid that situation. And I believe, and I didn't pull up the proposal in the exact phrase in the proposal, but that is typically our message, or approach and the thinking behind a choice of methodology. In some cases, a plan-based approach for an impact fee is the correct way to go, and is a good way to go, particularly with things like transportation and utilities, where you have a big project and you're really not going to be, and you kind of you need to plan and compile a multiple funding sources together. However, for schools, it lends itself to this incremental expansion approach, and so avoids those types of issues and that concern, if you will.
Is it possible for impact fees to be structured in such a way that they do not apply to long-time residents of Greenville County? So, for example, would it be possible to have an impact fee that does not apply to people who have been a resident of Greenville County for 5 years or more, just as an example?
If I'm understanding you correctly, the potential hypothetical situation would be if you're talking about that resident is moving into a new construction. Is that where?
Correct. Yes.
Because this would be on new homes built, not on existing residents, not on existing land uses, but when it is tied to the increase in development in a community. So a new house, any kind of new construction, new residential construction would be subject to the fee, regardless of who moves into that unit, is where I was going with that.
All right. Near the bottom of page 15, of that same document, the impact fee study proposal, in task 6 there, it lists 2 presentations that will be made at the end, basically, once you've completed the study, and those are to the Planning Commission and to County Council. So I'm just wondering, would there not also be a presentation that would be made? I realize you're working with district personnel, but would there not also be a presentation that would be made back to the Board of Trustees at the end of that process?
Yes, yeah, for sure. We can make that edit, but that would be, yes, we would certainly be presenting back to the Board of Trustees.
To be real clear about that, Mr. Cochran, this would not go forward without the board's approval to have it presented to the Planning Commission and the County Council.
My final question, in that same document, there's a chart on page 17. It's the project schedule for Greenville County School District. And for two of the tasks, Task 4 and Task 5, over in the column that says meetings and deliveries, it says to see Task 7, but I couldn't locate Task 7 in the document. So I was just wondering if you could tell me what that's referring to.
Yeah, it should, that's a typo. That should be Task 6. Those will be in the report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Middleton.
Thank you. Ms. Doolin, did you have a question?
Thank you. It appears that this study would take around 4 months, and I wonder if anyone has an idea of a timeline, if this board does approve this and ask for it to go to county council, what is the timeline once the study is over, if this board decides to ask county council for fees? What's the timeline for that? Does anyone know?
First thing, it would come back to you for the board to determine if they want it to go forward. Then depending on the date of that meeting and the timing of the Planning Commission meetings and the County Council meetings as far as being on their agenda, and the amount of lead time they would want to have before they met to review it, which, Drew, are you aware of like something going to the Planning Commission like an impact fee, the lead time they normally want before they vote on a matter? Because to my knowledge, there's never been one brought to them in our county. So I think it just would depend on the timing and the timing of their meetings, and then us inquiring of them, how much lead time do you need to have this in your hands before you act on it?
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation.
Other questions? Ms. LaVentus Wells?
I have a few questions, not really questions, but statements, and just need some clarity. I'm trying to look at all the aspects of this situation, and I feel like the negatives would be increasing the housing costs, which would affect, it makes homes less affordable. So you've got the one, and then you have the effect. And then also it may slow down the development and reduce housing supply. Also, the unstable revenue, it's hard to plan long-term, and restricted use. So only for buildings and not teaching staff, that's correct?
That is correct. It can only go towards capital, and the capital is restricted to capital investment related directly to growth. So it does not help with what is our, really what's our most challenging task, and that is to fund the ongoing operation of existing facilities and the increased cost when you have additional facilities. But it would go towards offsetting the cost of the construction of facilities directly related to growth, as that directly ties to new construction.
And then my last, well, a couple of things. The regional inequity, it burdens new communities more. So you're raising housing cost. Developers often pass that fee on to those who are going to purchase, and this could discourage some development. I'm a little concerned about several issues with this, and I still have questions about some things. I think we really need to look at the big picture and see how this will affect communities in the future, and making sure that nothing comes back to any homeowners. And I know you've said it won't affect any existing homeowners, only new ones. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's on new construction.
New construction. Okay.
Not additions or renovation. Be clear about that. New construction.
All right. I don't have any further questions at this time, but I'm sure some will arise.
Ms. Goodwin Cowell, did you have a question?
Yes, we are bringing this in order for us to get a report. We're not making any decisions right now. We just want a report to see if the impact fees is something we want to do.
Yes, ma'am,
for
that's
future
correct.
growth.
We're
That's
asking
what I
your
thought.
approval to conduct a study to present to you for you to make that decision.
This is just the approval to conduct the study. I wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sailors?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just to be clear, Mrs. Levinas Wells, and actually each of you brought some good points up that the conclusion of the report should be able to answer and address. We have no recommendation as of yet on what a fee would be per lot or per unit. That will come after the report recommendation. But understand this, I think we all need to remember this. Right now, in Greenville County, when a new building is built, when construction is facilitated for growth, every taxpayer in Greenville County has skin in that game. Because although they do not contribute through their property taxes to operations, they do on debt service, our capital. So if we build a new $30 million addition to a middle school, everybody that pays property taxes in Greenville County has skin in the game when it comes to that project. This idea, this conversation is an effort to try to at least lessen that burden. Whether we end up going with it at all, we may choose when the report comes back that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. We may determine when the report comes back that we will move forward, and we may determine that an amount that we fix per unit is, let's say, $1,000. Now, that may create some issues when it comes to affordable housing, yes. But new construction on new homes in this community, as hot as this market is, we need to remember that, okay? I think a lot of the questions that have been brought up are very valid, but again, I would expect most of the questions that we have on tactic, on process, on recommendation will come when the report is complete. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Mosley?
Thank you so much. So Ms. Goodwin Cowell and Mr. Sailors answered part of my question. My second question is, and I'm sorry if I missed this in the presentation, are there other districts in our state that are using impact fees? And will that be part of the report that we get where we see how this has affected other communities?
Yes, to both of those.
Okay.
We'll make sure that's included. I think it was in,
Because I think I just heard this is the first time we've presented, that we've even considered this or presented this.
We have.
If we chose to move forward, this would be the first time we presented it to our county.
there's a
Is that right?
There's a section in part of this presentation. Now, it's fairly lengthy because the proposal was attached. So their work has been done in Abbeville County, Georgetown County, Aiken County, Greenville County. These are counties, not county governments. Dorchester District 2, Dorchester School District 4, Anderson County, Horry County, Beaufort County, Orangeburg County, Beaufort County School District, Rock Hill Clover School District, Somerville and Rock Hill being the cities, Fort Mill Schools, York County, Lancaster County School District, Jasper County School District, Lexington County, City of Easley, Moncks Corner, City of Fountain Inn, City of Tunkhannock, City of Clemson, Chester County Schools, York School District 1, City of Winnsboro, Town of Pageland, City of Greer, City of Clinton, City of Inman, City of Woodruff, and Richland County. They've done studies for those locations.
Okay, so they've done studies, but will we be told if any of these entities move forward? And if so,
Yes.
what that,
We'll
especially
ensure-
from a school
I
district
imagine
standpoint?
they expect to include that, and we'll ensure that they do.
Okay, thank you so.
We can include that. Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Brett?
Chuck, I think you're probably the best person to ask this question. So our limitations on using these funds was created by the state legislature, is that correct? Or
Yes,
they-
ma'am.
When did they do that? Like,
I have
what-
no clue.
You don't know?
It's been
long time.
in statute for some time, and for example, and I may stand to be corrected, but Greenville County is the only county in the state that is required to take it to the
Excuse me,
plant.
could I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Without objection, I will extend for 5 more minutes.
The
Greenville County is the only county in the state where, in our case, the school district has to go to the planning commission for their approval before it goes to county council.
And did the state, oh, why?
No, that was local legislation
That
that
was
was
local.
written decades ago.
Okay.
So if I may, the original law, I believe, was passed in 1999, at least the core law, and then school districts, they were added as part and parcel of this
Okay,
back in 2016.
yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, thanks.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Ms. LaBentus Wells, did you have another question?
No, I think I'm going to look forward to the report, and thank you, Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell, for clarifying that, because I like that. Yes, thank you. No
Thank
further
you.
questions at this time.
Does anyone else have any questions? I have a question. My question is, will we have to do a impact study for every time a new development is initiated?
No, there is a requirement to redo this study at what interval, Robin? 5 years? 5 years.
Okay. And I probably missed this, but what is the cost to do the study?
It's on the last
It's right under 60,000.
$59,990 hours.
Okay. That's it for my questions. All right, we do have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Our second matter of business.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our second matter of business is 3.02, revision of board policy BCBA, live streaming of board meetings. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this?
Just briefly, if you have any questions, Mr. Webb can answer them. This is a policy that is required by state statute. And in fact, they presented a required policy for adoption. So this is simply presented to you in order to remain compliant with state law. And I believe the deadline for this has to be enacted by November. Is that right, Mr. Webb?
That's right.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the administration's recommendation of revising the board policy BCBA as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. So Ms. Doolin has made the motion, and the second was Ms. Leventis Wells. Thank you. Our next order of...
Got to vote on it.
Got to vote on it.
Oh, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our next order of business is, third order of business is 3.03, revision of board policy GBBA, unencumbered time. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak on that?
Very similar to the previous action that we requested of the board. Now, this is actually in proviso, but it's a proviso that for 1 year, but when they do a proviso, you never know how long it'll last, because there's some that have been in there maybe 20 years, to treat nurses in a manner similar to teachers as far as unencumbered time during the school day. Now, that's in statute. It's in 59-563, the unencumbered time for teachers. It's simply, this is written to include the language required by the proviso to provide nurses unencumbered time in a manner similar to teachers, and it does accept times of extreme circumstance, such as medical emergencies, and they receive 30 minutes unencumbered time daily to complete self-directed work responsibilities. Mr. Webb, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have about that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would also like to motion to approve the revisions to board policy GBBA as presented.
Thank you. Ms. Doolin has made the motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Morrison-Fair has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Fourth order of business is 3.04, Champions for Public Education Award nomination, ScanSource. Ms. Morrison-Fair, would you like to speak on this matter?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is an award created at the state level to recognize all those partners in the district that step up to the plate and help all of our schools. And this year, ScanSource was nominated. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a recommended motion from Ms. Morrison-Fair. Do I have a maker of the motion? Ms. Morrison-Fair, would you like to make the motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the nomination of ScanSource Incorporated for the SCSBA Champions for Public Education Award.
Second, I have a second from Ms. Brett. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries. Thank you. That concludes this section, and I will return it back to Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ms. Middleton. Our fourth matter of business is instruction, and Mr. Sailors will be chairing this section. So, Mr. Sailors, I'm going to give you the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Our one and only item of business today under the instruction portion of today's Committee of the Whole is related to innovative courses, honors course approvals. Dr. Royster.
He stepped out.
Oh, okay. Dr. Stevens, would you like to speak to the recommendation?
Before you, you have for consideration 6 CTE specific course approvals. If you have any specific questions about those, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, I need a motion. I need someone to make the motion, and we'll go into discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the local board courses as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Doolin and seconded by Mrs. Mosley that we accept the recommendation of the administration related to innovative and honors course approvals. Is there any questions or discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Chairman? We're done.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Our fifth matter of business is building and grounds, and Ms. Leventis Wells, I'll be asking you to chair this section and giving you the floor at this time.
Thank you. Facilities project report. We have a recommended, no, we do not have a recommended motion, but are there any questions in reference to facilities report? Yes, Dr. Presley.
Thank you, Ms. Leventis Wells. I was just wanting to inquire if it's appropriate as to the status of student parking at Greenville High School. Are there any updates in regard to that?
No, ma'am, not at this time. There are a number of things that we're looking at, including property around the campus, as well as maybe some opportunities that the parent groups could rent space, but we have not landed on anything at this point.
Respectfully, Mr. Carlin, I hear that every time I ask, and I know that I hope that we are trying to arrive at a resolution. But currently, we have students who are parking on streets. We have a situation where there are 2-hour parking signs that are being placed for what I'm sure are probably valid reasons by the city. But we have children who are zoned to attend a particular high school. It is not their fault that they are zoned to attend there, and they need to be able to get to their schools like the children in all of our other schools. So I am hoping that we will get more creative than we have been to arrive at a solution for this problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Facilities project updates for October 2025. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we'll go to 5.02, lease agreements with Millstone Towers for sales. Lease agreement. Do I have, let's see, we've got a recommended motion from the administration to approve the real property deed lease agreement for Greer High School as presented. Do I have a maker of the motion?
I can make the motion. I make a motion to approve the real property deed lease agreement for Greer High School as presented.
Okay. All right, so are there any questions? Ms. Doolin?
I would love to hear from Ms. Middleton, because I believe that Greer is the area that you represent, and what your constituents' opinions are about a cell tower on campus.
I have not heard from any constituents as of yet, but I feel that this may not, a lot of people may not know about it yet. That's what I think. There was some kind of a meeting which I was not invited to and do not know about, where apparently like a county meeting or a town meeting or something, where they talked about it. And I haven't heard anything from that. So at this point, I have not heard anything.
Okay.
If it might help to respond to that question, Colonel Carlin, as part of the requirements in the contract with Milestone, there are certain public hearings that they have to hold, some that they hold themselves, some that are held by the governing bodies prior to it coming to the board. Because all of these agreements were structured such that every preliminary hurdle had to be cleared before it came to the board. Could you review those? And I think also Mr. Baker's in here somewhere. Hear from Mr. Baker if he's had any inquiries or concerns from the community at Greer High. Colonel Carlin?
Yes, sir. So for the benefit of the board, when we first started talking about a tower at Greer High School, that was back in 2022, when Mr. Ludley was still the principal of the school. So we informed him about the potential for a tower to be coming to the campus, a number of areas we were looking at, and then finally setting on what we believed to be was the ideal location. Subsequent to that, or following that, we had 2 community meetings, one that was virtual in October of 2024, another one that was in person at the school in early December of 2024. Following those meetings, where I think we had 5 people sign up for the virtual meeting, two participated. When we had the community meeting at the school, we had 2 people show up to inquire. And then following that, Milestone began their due diligence. And then I think the meeting that you may have been referring to, Ms. Middleton, at the town, was the zoning approval for the tower. But correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, we send out mailers to about within a mile of where the tower will be located. I think we send mailers out, correct, to all the residents 2 times. So it was, lots of communication went out to the surrounding community, gave them 2 opportunities to participate in finding out about the tower and ask questions, and both those meetings were favorable.
Mr. Baker, have you heard from anybody in the community?
As current principal, I haven't heard from any parents.
Well, Dr. Stein, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I can keep the floor. In the information that we received, Malden High School is the second proposal location, so I was proactive and just started asking around, and I have not found one parent or resident interested in having a tower on campus, and I would even say they're adamantly opposed. Since I was I'm on that campus every day, but yesterday I rode to the neighborhood behind the football field where that tower would be, the location is proposed. And I met a woman in her yard who had no idea that a tower was proposed there and was very concerned about her property value because it would be in her backyard. And before I could leave the neighborhood, I got a call from their HOA. So maybe there's been some outreach in Greer, but there certainly hasn't been any reach in Malden.
Well, I can speak to that. There are no towers currently planned except for the one at Greer High School. So none of these meetings or anything like that has been conducted at any other school.
Well, there's a map of where it would be at Malden High School, and it says proposal number 2.
Right.
There are 2 maps, 2 additional maps in there, I believe, neither of which have anything to do with today's recommendation. And I would assume that neither of those are far enough along in the process, if you intend to follow up with those, Lynn, that they're not far enough in the process to have received notification for hearings that have not yet been held.
I think it would save everyone a lot of time and money to just nip that and not plan on Malden, because it's a no. Malden doesn't want it. The residents, the parents would literally told me that for $2 a year of what the income would be per student, they would rather pay $3 a year to not have a tower on campus. I mean, I don't know how to argue with that. They don't want it.
Well, we have a contractual arrangement with Milestone, which requires public input, and they will receive notice of that input, and that would determine to a great extent whether Milestone pursues those other tower sites or not.
Well, I feel like my role here is to provide that public input. They've said no. I don't want the district to spend any time or money on it because I think it's a no, and I hope that because we are not elected at large and we represent our areas, I hope that my colleagues would represent the wishes of the residents in my area that say they do not want this. And we will extend the same respect to Greer, if they do want it or don't want it, we need you to find out for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doohan. Dr. Stiles.
Yes, Mr. Carlin, I see the proposed location for Greer High School is close to the football field. Approximately how many feet is that from the actual facility, the school facility?
I don't have that information. I can get it for you.
I would like to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is that all, Dr. Stiles?
Thank you, Ms. Wells.
Ms. Mosley?
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for my confusion here. I was under the impression that we were getting an actual presentation about this proposal versus just a bunch of reading material, because I'm going to be honest with you, we haven't voted on the other cell towers. I should say the vote on those cell towers predates me, I believe, as does probably over half of this board. I echo Ms. Doolan's concerns because my constituents in the Malden area have significant concerns about a cell tower being on property. I would like to think that there's a possibility that the other two proposals, both the Greer, which is today, and the Woodmont, which is proposal number 3, residents potentially have the same concerns. I don't know enough about cell towers and 5G, but I can tell you right now that I have a significant distrust in the federal government and what they recommend as safe when it comes to children. So I suspect a lot of us on this board would welcome a more in-depth presentation about what this is, because I can read all this, but at the end of the day, this has been a very quiet conversation. And I feel pretty tuned in to what goes on in this district, but this is sort of taken me a little bit by surprise. And to be perfectly honest with you, the degree of which my phone blew up yesterday from my community over a proposal that may or may not happen, but I understand, but it's part of, it's on public record now. I am not comfortable voting on this today. So that's my stance.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Mr. Cochran?
Thank you. Based on the research that's on both sides of this issue, I do not think that any of us here today can say with 100% certainty that there will be no future adverse health effects for our students, teachers, and other school personnel as a result of having these cell phone towers located in close proximity to our schools. I definitely do not think we should take that risk when it potentially involves the lives and future health of our students, teachers, and other workers within our schools. And I know Dr. Carlin mentioned, Colonel Carlin, mentioned a minute or so ago that we had sent out those letters to all the people, the residents within 2 miles of where that cell tower is going to be located. But our students and our teachers and our other personnel in that school, they will be much closer than 2 miles, and they will be there for 180, and in the case of our teachers and our school personnel, 180 plus days per year. So in my mind, it's just definitely not worth that risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Dr. Presley?
Thank you, Ms. Levinas-Wells. I too spent an extensive amount of quality time speaking to my constituents yesterday, as it should be. And what I would request is more information all the way around on this. I am struggling to find a value add for this. And if you can't find a value add, we need more information. So more of a presentation, more of what are the pros of this for a school district to place one of these on a site that's in the proximity of neighborhoods. and, you know, this is just kind of basic 101, but I took into consideration some neighborhoods around the county and just from an aesthetics standpoint. And y'all, that's okay, just to talk about aesthetics. One of those big things jutting up in the middle of residential and around schools and everything else. Health and research aside, so I think we need more information, and I respectfully would ask for that. Thank you.
Ms. Levinas Wells, if I might.
Absolutely.
Would request that the board remove this from the Committee of the Whole agenda and defer it to a later Committee of the Whole so that we can provide sufficient information that the board may make a more informed decision. I would also encourage board members as we consider this going forward, because this came at a request of a previous board, many of whom are not still on this board, that as you think about this going forward, whether you wish for this to be pursued or not, in general terms. Because we do have a current contract to do this, and you have the right to ultimately approve or disapprove of any in the contract. But to Mr. Cochran's earlier point, we don't need to invest time and energy in this process if the board as a group does not believe it's something we should any longer pursue. But we'll bring you back a presentation. So that would be my request and recommendation, Ms. Levinas Wells.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. Well, okay, I'm still gonna ask y'all to speak, but I'm going to extend without objection for 10 minutes. And Ms. Middleton?
Thank you. From what Mr. Collins said, there's a total of maybe 7 people that showed up at these meetings a year ago. So I don't think this was really sufficiently advertised. I personally just found out about it at the agenda set. Now, there was a email that came out earlier that I didn't notice or see that said, if you have any comments or questions, you can submit them. But at the agenda set is when I found out about it. I don't know, I was never notified of any meetings or anything like that. I did see something on Channel 4 News where they put a 180-day moratorium, a pause, on cell phone towers, Greenville County. I don't know what exactly the cell phone towers are. Yeah, it's right here in the news. Okay, so this was something that was not brought to us, not in a real way. I'm not sure, these meetings sound ridiculous. Greer High School, their football team is at a separate location. It's called Dooley Field. It's not at the school. So I don't know if the cell phone tower is planned for that location or for actually at the facility. I personally do not understand why we would have a cell phone tower near a school or a hospital or a neighborhood. Surely they can find another place for these things. So I'm not even sure that I'm even interested in hearing a lot of information about it, because I don't know if that even would also waste our time, because my sense is, at least for Greer, me personally, I do not want to see a cell phone tower at that school. But no, I have not heard from anybody, because I don't think anybody knows about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Middleton. Ms. Brett?
Thank you. And Dr. Royster, I appreciate you tabling this. This question is actually for you, Mr. Webb. In 2021, Milestone Communications changed to Milestone Towers. Does that have any effect on the agreement that we have in place with Milestone Communications?
I'll be happy to look into that more. My understanding is that substance of the company remained the same, and it was more of a title change. But I'll look into that.
Okay.
I'll examine that further.
There's a termination clause in the contract if you all decide to go forward. My reference to the contract is the contract spells out the process. So as long as we operate under that contract, we need to honor the process in the contract.
Of the termination clause. I would like more information on that, please. And like I said, I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brandt. Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I wish that some of y'all were on the board whenever we were going through this with the South Side cell tower. And they could benefit from all of the meetings that we had, what they did back when we were going through with the one with the South Side, because it was all of these rumors out there about the cell towers, people around the cell towers getting cancer and this and that and other, and they did bring in a lot of research and stuff about that. And that's why we did decide to go on with the Southside Cell Tower, because the school benefits from some of the revenue from that tower. And it is away from the campus. It's on the edge of all the way down. But if we didn't do the cell tower there and get the benefits of the revenue, the county was gonna put a cell tower right there on Frontage Road, not too far from where it is. So, but we could benefit from, they could benefit from all of the information that we got, a presentation, like you said, so that they can see that a lot of those rumors were dispelled. So that was my information to y'all that were not here when we did the other cell tower. Dr. Burke.
Dr. Burke.
How many
Burke.
cell towers do we have now? On which campuses?
Okay, Southside, Berea, Serene Stadium, that it?
So the one at Serene was installed with a different company?
Yeah, that might have been 15, 20 years ago.
Yes, sir.
But it's still there. Serene, Southside, Berea. Is there one more, Rob? It predates Milestone. The only two with Milestone, I believe, are Berea and Southside. And the study data from them are included in your materials.
I believe there's also a tower between the bus center at Golden Strip and Malden Elementary.
Ms. Phelan?
I'm not sure that's on our property. We'll check and make sure. The stat believes there's another one. It will be outside of this agreement, which has been in effect for 10 years. Does that sound right?
2014, I believe.
So 11 years.
I think so.
Going on 12.
And also the breakdown of the revenue would be beneficial to the board members up here, because the schools are getting some of the revenue from the cell tower. All right.
Anything
That's
else?
all.
Thank you.
That's all.
Can I call on Ms. Doolin before? Ms. Doolin?
Who raised her hand first?
Okay, so we're going to go ahead.
That doesn't matter. I don't.
No, go ahead, Dr. Saylor. Mr. Saylors.
Do I get a robe that goes with that too? No, anyway,
We already tried that one.
although Dr. Royster has encouraged us to withdraw this from the agenda, a motion to table is in order. So I therefore make a motion that we table this until the next committee of the whole, affording the administration an opportunity to return with the information that the board has shared today.
Second.
Mr. Sailors, before we, well, I might request that you defer it to a later committee of the whole.
Okay.
As opposed to the next one, if that would be permissible with you.
I have no problem with that, Madam Chairman. I'd like to amend my motion to refer this back to, table this to be returned to the committee of the whole at a future date.
And I did not have Ms. Doolan second, so you didn't have to amend that. So that's the way. So Nancy, can you read that motion? And now, Ms. Doolan, do you want a second?
Second, sure.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to amend the motion to table the presentation to a later, I'm sorry?
Did you want us to read it?
Yes, could you please? That'd be great.
So
Mr.
we
Saylor.
read the amended motion?
Yeah, the amended.
Because it wasn't voted on? Okay.
The only ones, go ahead.
We just lost it. Mr. Saylor's moved to table the motion and to a future CAL meeting. Table the item to move it to a future CAL meeting.
And Ms. Doolan second the motion. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please address by saying, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Doolan, did you have a question? Okay, so all in favor, please address by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And with that being said, my computer died. And,
You're finished.
and so I will refer it back to Dr. Stiles. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Levitis Wells. Before we conclude our agenda, I just want to remind everyone that we are having our board workshop today on artificial intelligence and how that is going to be used in our schools. And so just a reminder that we will convene in conference room A when we leave here. This concludes our committee of the whole agenda today. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Saylors, a second from Mrs. Mosley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you again to everyone for joining us today. Have a great afternoon.
Roger, you got it.